Alright, Sean, Katie, heard of a film called A Complete Unknown?
No.
Have you ever heard of Bob Dylan?
Yes. He was a musician, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't think of anything that he sung. I know he was a good writer, wasn't he? I'm sure Mum's talked about it before.
Yeah.
He's written a lot of songs for other people.
So that was a complete trick, because if you could have said anything and I would have believed you, because I don't know any Bob Dylan songs. I can't pretend to be a big Bob Dylan fan.
The only thing I've seen Bob Dylan is, I remember we watched a documentary about that Christmas
The
song
USA
that they did.
for Africa, yeah.
And he was in that, wasn't he? And that's the only thing I've ever actually seen him in.
Yeah, so A Complete Unknown is a biopic with, do you know who's playing Bob Dylan?
No.
There was a big thing a few years ago coming out saying these biopics are being played by these people.
No.
So it's Timothy Chalamet. Is Bob Dylan.
Okay. Does he have a look of Bob Dylan about him?
No idea.
Okay.
But yeah, let's watch. Obviously we can't we can't go, oh, this is an allusion to this, because I don't know that much about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But we might talk a little bit about biopics, things like that. That's something we talk a lot about. So let's watch.
I want to tell you a little story. A few months back, my friend Woody Guthrie and I we met a young man.
Yeah, James Mangold.
He dropped in on us out of nowhere and he played us a song.
Walk the Line was a really popular one.
We got a feeling we were getting a glimpse of the future.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son?
I've heard that song.
Oh, where have you been, my darling young one? I stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I walked and I crawled on 6 crooked highways. I stepped in the middle of
I wonder if he's actually singing that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a recording.
I've been out in front of a dozen dead oceans.
Oh, that's
What's she called? Ellie
Fanning. Yeah.
It's a hard, oh, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rain gonna fall.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
That's how I got so far.
Good start.
Yeah, so we got well done us. So yeah, I don't know all that much about Timothy Chalamet. I don't know all that much about Bob Dylan, but I'm glad you said. I wonder if it's him singing, because
For me, it's like, because I know what Timothy Chalamet sounds like. To me, it sounds like how he talks.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I could actually hear that being Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
But I don't know what Bob Dylan sounds like when he sings. I don't think I've ever actually heard a Bob Dylan song.
I've heard that. The song he was singing there, I've heard that before, but I wouldn't. You know, like.
If it was like when it was Queen, you could tell it was actually Freddie Mercury.
Well, it was Freddie Mercury and it was Mark Martel, wasn't it? Was it the YouTube guy? It sounds like him. He's got a similar condition, hasn't he? With his teeth.
But there was a lot more to be like, oh, that's definitely Freddie Mercury singing that. Yeah. But it's with his because you'd think they would want to keep it in with Bob Dylan, wouldn't you? But it's whether or not they had the footage to go on.
I'm the opposite. I like it when the actor goes that deep into it that they can start sounding like them, like Taron Egerton did with Elton John. You know, he sounded really good as Elton John, and frankly, the fact that Rami Malek won an Academy Award for Freddie Mercury, and not only did Taron Egerton not win for...
Did he get nominated?
He got nominated. He never won for Elton because Joaquin Phoenix won that year. But they also didn't give Bradley Cooper an award for his, and he went out of his way to make his voice sound a certain way. which is just ridiculous. So I don't like that kind of hypocrisy. I get the whole, Joaquin Phoenix was always going to win the Academy Award for Joker, but
he was incredible as Joker.
But Rami Malek absolutely 100% stole Bradley Cooper's Academy Award that year. I think it was that year. It might not have been that year.
It was the same year, yeah, because that's all you could go on about, and frankly, all you've still gone on about.
I don't think it was, Now that I think about it, because I think...
Was it not? I'm sure it was. The same year that Bohemian Rhapsody and A Star Is Born was up.
Whoever won when Bradley Cooper was nominated for A Star Is Born stole it from Bradley Cooper. I'm just not sure if it was Rami Malek.
Almost certain that it is.
Just like Google it.
Because it seems like that.
I know I talk about it all the time. There's not many sort of Academy Award robberies that I'd be all that bothered about, but that one was really that, because it's not even just the singing. He's so brilliant in that film, and it was just a crime. 2018 for Star Is Born, Bohemian Rhapsody. 2018, yeah, it was same year. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they did a Bob Dylan film a few years ago, and believe it or not, I'm pretty sure Kate Blanchett played him.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently she looked really good as him.
How did Bob Dylan die?
I don't know. No idea. But yeah, according to most people that I've spoken to about Bob Dylan, his big thing was writing songs.
I know I've heard that Bob Dylan having he was a big writer. I feel like Bob Dylan, and I don't know if I'm going to offend loads of people by saying this, I feel like he was more of an American thing. Do you know what I mean? Like he was more known in America than he was in the UK?
Probably, yeah. It looked
because I feel like
mum
and dad would have been listening to him, and I just feel like I've never heard a song of Bob Dylan's that I can think of.
Well,
that I probably have
Chelsea.
heard.
Chelsea's in
Chelsea Hotel.
I don't know if it's Chelsea Hotel or if it's a hotel in Chelsea. Because
Chelsea Hotel is an actual thing in New York, isn't it?
Stop. Is it?
I don't know if it still is, but I'm sure Chelsea Hotel is a thing.
It's American, isn't it? It looks at those cars, they're American. Yeah. So I know they did. Off the top of my head, there's a few one of them is Walk the Line. Ford v Ferrari is also a biopic. But one similar. Huh?
What was Walk the Line?
It was Johnny Cash. It was another Joaquin Phoenix. I think he got. I don't know if he won or if he was nominated. He might have won. I think he might have just been nominated for it though. Yeah, he was Johnny Cash. Which again is sort of like, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna skirt before, because my God, this has been doing my nutting recently. We don't pretend to know everything about the subject matter in this film, right? That's one thing. There's been so many people someone put a comment on saying something like, tell me you know nothing about this without telling me you know nothing about this. And I felt like commenting back saying, tell me you've not watched the video without telling me you've not watched the video. Because literally at the beginning of the video we say we don't know everything.
What video was that?
I can't remember. But there's been a few ones like that where we never ever claim to be experts.
Yeah.
My thing with Bob Dylan and with Johnny Cash is Johnny Cash especially was way more American than he was. Like, he never really got close to England as far as I can remember. Well, as far as I know. America, he was one of the biggest people in the world, but not so much in the UK. Bob Dylan is primarily America, but I'm pretty sure he had a very cult following in the UK.
Did he?
Yeah, like a niche sort of group of people who loved him.
Right.
As opposed to say that the obvious one is the likes of Queen, who
were just bigger in general.
They were big in general, but they were the other way around. They were massive in the UK and cult following in America.
Right. I wonder if there are any of his songs, even the ones that he's written, that I know of. I can't, off the top of my head, I just can't think of Bob Dylan.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you know the name.
Instantly, I know who Bob Dylan. Even the look, down to the look. Bob Dylan used to have a. I think you saw it at one point. The harmonica. He wore the harmonica on his face, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think you saw it at one point in the trailer. Like, I know who he is. I know what he looks like. I just don't. Can't remember.
You asked how did he die?
Yeah.
He didn't.
Is he still alive? Oopsies.
Blowing in the wind, end of the line, knocking on heaven's door like a rolling stone, Mr. Tambourine Man. Don't think twice, it's alright. Hurricane, lady, 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 handle with care. The times they were changing, I know that song. Oh, the times they are a changing. You know that one?
You literally just sung the title.
Yeah, but that's how it sounds. I can't play it because, you know, thing, but you do know that song.
I might, I just can't think off the top of my head.
But apart from that, do you know what it is? We've probably heard the songs, we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Senor, John Wesley, Karina.
Are they his songs, or are they like songs he's written?
Wichita Lineman. The song that Bob Dylan described as the greatest ever written. Wow. Murder Most Foul. 17 minutes long.
Jeez.
Jeez, I know. What made one of the world's greatest live performers. This does make sense given the film. Yeah.
Well, now I feel bad by saying when did he die.
I know.
I'm sorry. I just assumed because I feel like a lot of biopics, they tend to go for the people that have died, and the lives are very like, oh, not alive, yeah, they've died, and they're like, you know.
Name some biopics.
Queen.
Right, Queen. Three of whom are still alive. Another one.
That was mainly about Freddie Mercury.
Yeah,
though.
but another one. You're gonna say Rocket Man because Elton John's not dead.
No, but it's like I just assume.
Yeah, you would think with a biopic they would go for someone who Johnny Cash.
I'm surprised.
I don't think
that
was
he's not.
alive when they made that film.
I want. They did one about Elvis. Didn't they?
Not a very good one.
Oh, was never. I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Well, the reviews say it's not very good. It's probably very good because nowadays everyone who says something's brilliant, normally it's terrible, and people who say something's terrible, normally it's brilliant. So it's probably good.
Yeah.
No, people didn't like someone in that film. Maybe Tom Hanks. That doesn't seem right because it's Tom Hanks. Because everyone loves Tom Hanks.
Who was? It was Austin Butler.
I don't think people didn't like him. There was someone else that they didn't like playing a certain character.
I don't know.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, things like the Elton John one, the guy, people like Taron Egerton, but people also like Jamie Bell as the guy who wrote all the lyrics. Bohemian Rhapsody, Rami Malek was good as
like
Freddie Mercury, but the rest of them were all really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're going for these types of things, these biopics, because there's another one, isn't there? I'm sure there's another biopic coming out in a few months about someone else.
That's helpful.
Believe it or not. Who is it? No idea.
I think it's interesting because I think biopics have become popular because people are interested about the idea of seeing like the favourite artist's life and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, especially the time. Remember Bob Dylan around? What time was he kind of?
I couldn't even tell you. 90s, 80s ish would be my guess. 70s maybe.
Because like when you think about like the lack of social media in that times, it's probably a lot about.
To be fair, it said he's had something like a 60-year career, so.
Oh, it's probably longer than that.
Yeah.
The time when social media wasn't around, so it's like people wouldn't know the ins and outs of his life, like what they do now with modern day artists and stuff. So I think a lot of people get interested about biopics.
And this was also when you got like flash mobs that weren't just on Twitter. You know, like it showed you them getting chased by all the lasses, and they had like pictures of them and stuff. It's like nowadays you don't really see many people like that anymore.
Not to that level.
Because you can basically do all of that on Twitter. That's all people use Twitter for, is to make mobs. You know, like when Michael Jackson had that video. There was a video of Michael Jackson where it was like the man he wasn't even on tour. He was just in a hotel room, and he opens his windows and there's thousands of people in the street, you know,
Yeah.
trying to get close to him. There was also the time that he held the child out of the window, which is a bit,
Yeah.
you know, questionable, but, you know.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wonder if what normally goes for things like biopics and even sort of films that are about like musical stars, because it's the same with Star is Born. There's always something really like not controversial, but there's always a really big thing right in the middle of their lives that makes it hard for them to be seen as a perfect person. So like Freddie Mercury became a demon to his own vices, didn't he? You know, he was doing alcohol, he was going to orgies and nightclubs, and was he doing drugs? Did he do drugs? He did do drugs, didn't he?
I think in the film he did.
In the film he did drugs, but obviously the thing that everyone said was probably going to be the big thing was the fact that he was gay, which ultimately it didn't really matter, did it?
No.
Then with things like Johnny Cash, it was alcohol, and you know, he was going to prisons and singing songs for prisoners and stuff, and A Star is Born, it's the same again, it's alcohol. It always seems to be alcohol. Be interesting to see. Elton John was drugs, and
That's the thing. I feel like with artists, it is always drugs and alcohol, and you know, it's interesting. But I guess there's probably a lot of truth to it.
it's excess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they kind of they spend all this time trying to get up there, and they get up there and they just like crash, and something happens. It's usually alcohol and drugs, and
It's the classic thing, isn't it? It's when you reach the top, there's only one way to go, isn't there? Which is a shame, man. It's nice when you watch biopics, especially ones like Bohemian Rhapsody, where you see it just get the absolute worst of Freddie Mercury, and you know he comes back, and the big payoff at the end is Live Aid. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Bob Dylan. I
think it'd be interesting to watch, because like I say, we don't know anything about. I don't know how accurate this is going to be. I'm sure people will tell us. Like, nothing to go off, so it'd just be interesting to see, learn some stuff about him.
So if you could make one biopic,
About anyone.
just so everyone is aware, I probably should have said this much. I know A Star is Born is not a biopic. All right, I know they're two
You're just talking
fictional
about
characters.
a film where it's about an artist.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a brilliant film.
I don't know. Who would you do one about?
I had an idea. This is why I asked that question.
And then you've just completely forgot.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Knuckles.
Do you know what it is? It's one of those things where, like, we'll finish this video and be like, oh, you know, that'd be a really good one. That'd be a really good one.
Yeah. Jerry Lee Lewis. They made one about Jerry Lee Lewis. Dennis Quaid was Jerry Lee Lewis. Do you know the controversy with? Do you know the song that Jerry Lee Lewis sang?
I can't think of the title. Tell me, what is it? Well, I know.
He sang Great Balls of Fire.
Okay.
But the big controversy for him wasn't so much alcohol, it was the fact that he married his second cousin or something in America. He was American. And it wasn't considered all that big of a deal in America at the time, but then he came to the UK where it was really sort of picked up on, and you know, people didn't like it. I did have one. I genuinely had one, and I was sitting there going, right, I'm going to ask her this question at this point. Not Bob Dylan. Obviously, Rami Malek. Elvis has already been done. Queen's already been done. Elton John's already been done.
Have they done one about Wham? Like about
George Michael.
George Michael? Because I know they did like.
They might be doing one, actually. That might be who I was thinking of earlier on.
Because I would really like to see one about him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's big in America, but in the UK he was really big, obviously. Is he big in America?
He was big in America.
Was he? Okay. I would like to see one about him.
Yeah.
Because supposedly he was lovely as well. He used to do loads of charity work and stuff.
Was never afraid to take himself. He never took himself too seriously. He was always willing to laugh at himself, despite all the horrible things that went wrong in his life. I can't believe I've forgotten. I actually genuinely had a really good one, but I've forgotten it.
Celine Dion, maybe?
No.
No, I'm just saying I would also like to see one about
maybe,
Celine
yeah.
Dion. No. We don't want to see one about
That's
Celine
not
Dion.
what I was thinking of. Maybe someone. You're saying Celine Dion, you've made me think of Andrea Bocelli. be quite nice. Quite a sad thing seeing his life.
I don't know much about.
Well, he's blind.
Aside from that, yes, I know that. But I mean, I don't know much about his life, Sean.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I had a really good one. Let us know what kind of biopic you would like, and I promise you, when I eventually remember, I'll put it in the comments myself. I'll say that was the one I was thinking of.
You're literally going to end this video, be halfway through another video, and you go, "Oh my God, it
Yeah,
was this.
I know, I'm gonna
It was
kill myself.
him. It was this. Or her. It was this person."
That might be an interesting watch. I do quite enjoy biopics, but sometimes I really don't like them.
Just whether or not it's in good taste. You know what I mean? If they do it justice, if it's accurate. I would hate to watch this and think, "Oh, it's quite good," and then for people to say, "Actually, this just is not accurate to his life at all." Paints him in this way. It's very, you know.
Yeah.
I doubt they would. I doubt that that's something that they would do, but it would be horrible to say, wouldn't it? Like, he's had this big long career.
I wonder if it'll be similar to like when people, you know, because when we were watching like Bohemian Rhapsody, we were sitting there going, I mean, he never had blue eyes, you know, so that's wrong.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff with Bohemian Rhapsody that wasn't accurate. I'm sure he wasn't the first one that did his own thing, that went solo. I'm sure we talked about that. I'm sure Mum and Dad mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the bass guy, was it the bass guy?
John Deacon.
Yes, I'm sure. Wasn't he the first one that went solo or something?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember fully, and I might be wrong on that, but I'm sure there was something like that. We were all like, that didn't.
I also know that
didn't
I'm
happen.
pretty sure he didn't find. I don't think he found out he had AIDS until after Live Aid, which was kind of questionable. The thing about him having a knackered voice before Live Aid was true. He was struggling with that. But I mean, I wonder if Americans will have the same kind of thing with this, or if it's just an English petty thing.
What do you mean, an English petty thing?
Well, we're sitting here going, well, you know, one of England's most brilliantest, greatest artists ever. They make a film about him, and there's loads of it that's wrong. You know, do you think Americans will be the same with some of their?
I think they would be. I think it depends on what you
How
think
egregious
about
the
artist.
errors, as well. Like how egregious the errors are.
Yeah. The thing is with Bohemian Rhapsody, even though there were some things, Mum and Dad in particular, because I didn't know much, Mum and Dad in particular was like, well, that didn't happen like that. That wasn't entirely accurate. But I think it was still respectful, the movie, the way it was done.
Yeah.
And it was actually, Queen were actually involved.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't just Freddie Mercury.
Roger Taylor and Brian May were actually involved, weren't they, in getting made.
Yeah.
They approved a lot of it. They were even there when, I'm sure they were there when Rami Malek won his Oscar. So you even though there was some inaccuracies, you could kind of be like, well, you know, they still approved. It's respectful. It seems like they're trying to uplift his life and, you know, doing some good. So you can't really argue. It's just I don't know anything about Bob Dylan, so I don't know how this is.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think down in the comments. Is there certain things in certain historical ones are a lot worse? One of the historical films, that's the one that really gets on my nerves, is when certain people play characters wrong.
I think it's harder to do historical ones.
Why get an Australian to play an Englishman, a Scottishman? I know people could quite easily turn around and go, well, why is an Englishman playing Superman, and why is an Englishman playing Batman? Why is an Englishman playing this? Why is an Englishman playing? I get that, right? But even they have to admit Christian Bale's American accent's really good. Henry Cavill's American accent's reasonably good. Mel Gibson had the worst Scottish accent I've ever heard.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it's so much getting a foreign actor to play an English person. It's more of just they have to do the accent good.
Yeah. Ugh.
I think that's the case for everything though. Like if an English person is to play an American.
There was an American one where I was like, why did they get an English person to play that American person when he sounds terrible? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, what we said?
I don't know. I think I ended my point.
We were saying, I suppose it depends how egregious the error is. We don't know how. We don't know anything about. If it came out and he was like, you know,
if say like they were trying to paint that he was like
a serial womanizer and he was
and
wholeheartedly faithful.
Or if it was like, you know, he did all these drugs and he was like an alcoholic, but like actually that's just not true at all. Then it would be kind of like, well, you're just painting him out to look like a horrible person.
Thought of it. I thought of it. I can't remember what they're called, right? But it's something like the traveling Wilburys or something like that.
The people you would like to see the biopic of.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's like some of the best singers ever. So it's George Harrison from the Beatles, Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne from ALO, the guy who sang Pretty Woman, whose name I'm forgetting.
We know who you're talking about. We all know the song Pretty Woman. If you don't, you need to get yourself educated.
I'm gonna. I've forgotten his name as well. That's gonna kill me as well. But then there's another one who I can't remember. But that would be good because it's all these people who sort of they had other bands, they had other artists. You know, they had solo careers. Obviously, the likes of George Harrison was massive because he was in the Beatles. The likes of Jeff Lynne was massive, especially in the UK because he was in ALO. But seeing them all come together and do shows together and do songs together and things like that might be quite interesting.
It'd be interesting how they would do that though, like as a film.
Yeah.
It'd be a long film.
Oh yeah, it would be long. Yeah. What was his name? I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name.
I'm gonna tell Mum you can't remember.
The guy who's done. Tell Dad. Dad'll kill us more than Mum will. Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying again?
I don't know. Just end it.
If you were saying something about drugs, you were saying if it was turning around and saying he was a massive druggie.
Yeah.
And he was.
About dying.
And he wasn't.
Yeah. If it was something that's like just painfully disrespectful and just pointless like that. Like, didn't add anything at all.
Yeah, like there was just no need for it.
Yeah, then you would kind of be like, well, what was the point?
Is that not one of them? No.
But yeah, I don't know. The thing is we wouldn't know until afterwards. Yeah. Even if we watched it, it would kind of just be like, well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you'd feel bad, wouldn't you? If you're like, oh my god, Bob Dylan was this like horrible, you know, he did all this, and oh my god. And it's like, and it wasn't true.
Yeah.
You'd kind of be a bit miffed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but he's also alive to dispute
I know.
it.
I feel bad that I thought he was dead. Sorry, Bob Dylan.
Yeah, anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, ding the bell, notified when we upload. We upload every day. Anything else you want to say? No.
That was a mess at the end.
I know, because I just kept remembering things and then forgot them. What was his name?
I was going to search it for you before and literally was on 1%.
I'm gonna do it. I should know his name. Roy Orbison? Pooh! That's so annoying.